New AI systems will be able to extract out patterns from the world itself, from images and so forth, and then be able to test their linguistic constructions against the world, and so they'll practice just like scientists. And the most advanced models are going to use text and image and action as well, because they'll be able to model human action. And so, and all of that's going to come down the pipes within the next year. So hang on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because what did my friend Jonathan Pajot say? Giants are going to walk the earth once more. And we're going to live through that, maybe. I mean, Elon Musk, one of the things he's working on, he thinks that the world will be controlled by whoever produces the most functional AI system the fastest, because there'll be a first mover advantage. And one of the things Musk has been working on for a long time are distributed AI systems, so that you'll have your own artificial intelligence to protect you against, well, let's say against Google's artificial intelligence, for starters. Yeah, or the CCP's artificial intelligence, because you can bet your hat they're working on that about as fast as they possibly can.
Psychology is saying that the world will be controlled by whoever produces the most functional AI system the fastest. There will be a first mover advantage. My question to you guys is, would you support this message? First mover advantage, and second, why? Why not? Who wants to turn first? Maybe Marco.
Yeah, I think it's a difference whether you look at countries, nations, or whether you look at private companies. I mean, what we've heard before. Why did Microsoft invest in OpenAI? Because they know that this is going to be the next thing they can build their business on. And it's an arms race between big tech, but it's also an arms race between the nations. And I think it's commonly known that China is in the lead. Maybe you know that better, but they're in the lead at the moment, and they're in an arms race against the US.
Okay, you mentioned Microsoft. During World Economic Forum, there was a CEO here telling about the imagination that based on AI, you will be able to reach out to people in the rural areas, and they would be able to doing things they never were able to do, like programming, etc. Is that something you would support as well, or is that just a nice, a bit marketing gimmick or so? What's your opinion on that?
Well, there was a book written, it's called Supernatural, and you should all read that. Elon Musk has read this book, and he also concluded that AI can become, or is becoming, more deadly than the atomic bomb. Okay. So, yes, of course, the first mover is always important, but because these models, as I showed them, they have become so powerful, you know, they can even create code. We saw that today. So theoretically, if you have these algorithms in 2070, it is becoming more powerful than the whole mankind. Okay. And that's why this topic, ethical AI, I think it's really important, and some people call it also humble AI. If we don't take care about that, we're gone.
I wonder what you say. I wonder what you say. Yeah.
So maybe because I've my hand in the codes and I'm playing with the stuff, and I've been involved into the crypto space for too long now. When there is a new topic, there always has a lot of hype. Project need to be funded, and a lot of GPUs and a lot of stuff that requires a lot of funding. It's pretty much like the military. They want the new hypersonic weapons. I don't know how much is effective, but they know they really need the money right now. And that's why I'm much more cautious about the impact. Yes, in science fiction, is a massive disruption, is a danger for mankind maybe, but it's science fiction. If you think only on the next years, it's going to be incremental. You will be a lot of resistance to change. We know how peoples are. The talks today, we are in, let's say, today we are around experts in a narrow fields, and I was not really impressed even by my talk. I was not that really impressed that the world is going to change tomorrow. So you have a lot of ideas and perspection, but nothing necessarily tangible. A lot of buzzwords, a lot of keywords, but nothing that, not real, not existing use cases. A bit like yesterday, where we were speaking about the technology, but we didn't have the business use case yet clearly stated and clearly spoken.
I will counter argument that I think it has a huge impact already. I mean, if you look at what you can do with those generative AI tools, it impacts, for example, schools. There are huge discussions ongoing at universities across the world whether you can use those tools, what impact it has on students, how they control it, should they control it, how should they teach how you use those tools, all those discussions. Then in the art scene, it makes big waves, because now that suddenly discussions are ongoing again, what is real art? And new artists are popping up, especially also in the Web3 space. There are now NFTs sold for thousands of francs with AI-generated NFTs. And I mean, yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, this technology, it's old. If you've been in the space and if you know a bit about AI, you know that it's been going on for years. But I think it achieved mass attention in the last 3 months with ChatGPT. That took over the world by storm, and now we already see huge changes. So,
Mark, you mentioned a very good topic. It gives me a good question for you guys. Universities. Let's assume you are on a board of a university deciding about yes or no using ChatGPT. I mean, everybody knows how you can use it for doing your master thesis, at least the analysis part or many parts of that, and you're much faster. But as I am also a little bit active in that area to look at the quality of master thesis, I always ask, where is really flesh in it? Also, where is really the creative part? And I would assume, for instance, when you look at the analysis part, that's always well done, and then they hurry up to bring maybe 1 or 2 pages of the real stuff. And with using ChatGPT, you could speed up the analysis part, and the other part you have more time. Is that a too positive attitude in that way? Also, as a consequence, I would let it open they can use that, because I have my criteria where the human creativity is reflected. What do you think about this?
Well, you know, these GPT models, they're very good, but as I said, they also come up with synthetic data. And if you go to university, you need to know how linear regression and other things work. Yeah, because you need to have the foundation. So it also is important that you can read books and do your own research. Of course, it's a very good augmentation of life. I use ChatGPT to produce Python code, and then I change it. That's nice, but you still should know how to code Python code. You need a basic understanding. So it's like you need to know how to walk, but ChatGPT or these other AI models are the boss to university.
I asked the other deans of the universities, how would you decide?
So I pretty much agree here. You should accept it, you should let it, but you should probably change the exam You may want to test academic know-how, and then you forbid the use, and you make it, not like you really forbid it, but you make it in a context where the student would not be able to benefit from the ChatGPT. A lot of QCM, a lot of questions, you don't have time to type, and you prevent the Wi-Fi access, maybe. You can do that. And if for other, maybe for master's thesis, that's exactly the type of work that you should have ChatGPT. Because master thesis is a lot of exploration of the domain, maybe some cross-domain exploration as well, and you want to infer some new knowledge, and it's good to have also to bring some synthetic information to make it more substantial.
So you would say you can design it in a way that you still then get finally the result you expect, that you see that the students' work and intelligence, etc. I mean, the master thesis is always kind of the final proof that the person is well educated.
But the question is pretty much like with Google. What you want also to test is the ability to the person to do prompt engineering. Yeah. Otherwise, do you want a scientist that don't know how to use ChatGPT?
Maybe Mark, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, it will become part of our society, of our working life, of our culture, and it's needed that students learn how to use that tool. And what I would probably do is I would introduce the need for labeling when you use it, and then it's declared and it's allowed, but you know when someone used it.
I think that a point for academic research is a source, to mention the source, because the whole academic research is based on citing your sources, and problem with those kind of tools, they hide and blend the sources.
Yeah, there is a German startup, it's called Alibaba. They do exactly that. And there is also important to mention, there is this LEAM initiative, large European AI model, LEAM, where they want to become independent from these Chinese and American algorithms. To protect our knowledge and not to be becoming too dependent.
It's by the way also what Microsoft Edge is doing. When you search there, they give you the sources. So you have an answer text, but they label the parts of the text with sources.
Excellent. Let's come back to the Peterson video. He said, talked about another interesting prediction, is the quote, that there will be distributed AI systems so that you have your own artificial intelligence to protect you against, for instance, Google's AI, etc. Distributed systems equals, that's my equation. Distributed systems equals distributed power equals democracy? Question mark. My question for you on that is that the role of Web3? Is that the contribution of DLT, of AI and the world? Or is there a misunderstanding from my side? That's the question to you. So we have now AI and Web3. Is there also from a Web3 logic that is decentralized and also decentralized power? Is that a feature that can be, or a structure that can be brought in?
This is a broad topic, and the way I will go into it, I think it's what you mentioned is democracy. And for me, it's not about decentralization so much. It's really about governance. So you could have democracy in a centralized way if there is a proper governance, which is more or less what we have in Occidental Western society today. And you could have the complete mess, anarchy in a decentralized environment. So it's all about which governance you want, rather than decentralization.
Also, it goes a little bit in the direction what you started to talk about, ethics. And ethics has two potential execution level. One is taboo, also if you really make sure that you do not do things because it's taboo, that's the most efficient one. You don't need a lawyer. But on the other side, you need lawyers, or at least a definition of what's good or bad. I'm not sure if you have an idea how to apply ethics, what is the right way to apply it in such a dynamic system. Maybe you can say something.
Well, they already implemented it in ChatGPT, that I think you cannot ask the system, write a threatening email to my uncle. If that would be the prompt, it will not answer. Yeah? Or there was once a joke, somebody said, how can we make climate change go away? And somebody said, well, ChatGPT answered, kill human beings. So these are some very pragmatic things that you should implement in the system. And I think...
You're not solving the problem. You're avoiding the problem, not solving it.
But, there's somebody from the audience saying we are already there. Maybe just respond on that, Mark.
Yeah. Also, you said they implemented those rules. That's right. But then the question comes: who decides about those rules? Now, in that case, it was OpenAI. And OpenAI was initially an initiative that shouldn't be owned by big tech. Now it's owned by big tech, and now we're again at the same problem that we have with the Web 2, right? That we have those big platforms, social media, and it's exactly the same discussions there. Who decides what content is up there and what not, and who moderates that? And in my opinion, that has nothing to do with decentralization. It's again the same centralization going on like we saw with Web 2. And that's also where I would draw the line between AI and Web 3. I think those are two different things. Web 3 is about decentralized ownership.
But Web 3 is also about governance. So one of the key tool in Web 3 is DAO, where you have autonomous organization that can take autonomous decision. So Web 3 is also there to move forward past this governance concern. Should be.
Also, that would mean that maybe a DAO as a present to the AI problematic of managing ethics could be a solution maybe, or a tool that could be applied. That's what you want to say?
Not exactly. Because the problem that AI is, that's where I will go in Mark's direction, AI is a tool to centralize. I need a lot of data, need a lot of CPU. That's not something that's decentralized, that's something that's concentrated power. The more power you have, I mean physical, in the physical sense, the more hardware you have, the more expensive hardware you have, and the more powerful you are in AI. So what I wanted to say that you need even more better governance, even more distribution of power through governance and through maybe data owning or the rights on data we generate, which was one of the topic brought yesterday, so that we get more in control of which decision can be made in the end by the AI and other data-related system.
Well, we just have to think about one thing, and that's going to be a quantum leap, that it is quantum computing.
I'm sorry, I can't help myself. So if I'm evil, I'm going to use AI to accelerate my breakthroughs.
Just do your statement.
If I'm evil, I'm going to use AI to accelerate my breakthroughs in quantum computing, and then I will defeat all of you, and I will control the world. So the first mover doesn't necessarily have the advantage.
Yeah, sure. That's a good, very strong opinion. We just elaborate on that. But there are different application levels. And one application, when we talk about centralized and decentralized, is a corporate application level. In a corporation, then it's clear, it's centralized. That's clear. That's a, why do you have a CEO? Why do you have this C-level function? It's just a centralized organization. And it's not illegal. And you see how evil C-level can be. That applies in every potential asset. We have many examples of that. You can talk about FTX, etc. It has nothing to do with the matter. It has to do with the people who are evil. That's right. But maybe it's a little bit unfair to see a new technology, and that's what I want to discuss with you guys. Is it a little bit unfair? It's a new technology, it's extremely powerful, and then we always think, oh, what happens if the evil take over?
Yeah, but AI, but AI, there is a technology like computer and everything which should support the people. We are here on the planet and should support us. And all this what we discuss takes one thing, and I think not in consideration. For example, with the universities, and you say, oh, it's perfect for universities. Universities are the base for innovation. Even any master thesis is a thing where people think about new ideas and create new ideas and make the research out of it. Even our project in LISC starts with research on it. So if you take Credit Suisse and they never take anything outside of the business of the banking system, they will have never innovation and never progress. So you have to limit AI at the points where the feed-in takes place, because AI is made to feed in the information in a system, self-learning, to support us. And if then you cut down at least your innovation or your inputs and make a circle, then the system should fail. And then also the evils have the approach to go in, like hackers do.
Yeah, sure, but it's nice. I mean, it's a nice description from a sideline. You describe it's bad. It's if this happened, it is. I just want to hear real, concrete ideas how we can deal with that. I want to deal with that, and I would ask you the concrete question. You are a dean of a university, and you have people, and then they come back and say, "Listen." What is the difference if I use Google, it's not forbidden, or I use AI? What is different? We tried, one element was your proposal that you said, listen, if you design the structure of a master's thesis, for instance, in a way that the valuation of the human part is much bigger rated today as it has been in the past, because everything has to be done by a human being, then of course this could be a way to elaborate on that. But it's a very simple example where you see a little bit the problematic.
But then I sent my avatar next month because at least we don't need people here. We are coming here together, real people with thoughts, with crazy ideas, that we develop something new. And the computer I'm using here and everything, I'm using then to execute it. And this is why we have to limit AI in a way to say, these are parts which are value that human people are there.
Yeah, I have.
And this is the part where a computer can do the bloody work we don't want to do.
Yeah, I have no fear on that, because I know the power of people. I know the power of people talking to it. Now let's go back to the panelists. Let's go to the last round of the question. I like it very much, this discussion.
I have another input.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, what I found really interesting is that when I was younger and went to primary school, there was a time that Google came up. And at that time, at primary school, it was clear that we would learn how to use Google. So we had hours where we had access to computers in the classroom. That was at that time an iMac. And they would show us how you Google stuff and how you use that to work. And I don't remember that we had those kind of discussions at that time about that technology.
You're probably younger, but we had.
Yeah.
I was at I was at university when Google came, and there was the same kind of question: is how much you want Google for homework, not for in situ examination, but for what you do at home project, homework, and then there was a concern.
Okay, let's keep the power question. So we talk about control and power. When in your view is the red line crossed? Where is no excuse, where it really comes in control and execution, that you have to stop it? Maybe you can come up with an example that shows a little bit better when is really the red line, when we have to stop something, when it comes something in force that we have to stop something. Is there an idea you can concretely show the red line? Who wants to start?
Well, again, it's in some points we have already crossed the red line. Yeah, I mean, fake news. You can have deep fake videos, come up with pictures, simulate the voice. You can do really terrible things, cyber security with AI. But again, where there is sun, there is shadow. So coming back to my point, great technology, I love it. I think about AI all the time. Of course, also about my wife, my children, our dogs, about you nice guys, maybe tomorrow. But anyway, ethical AI is very important. Because these algorithms become more and more powerful. And as I said, by 2070, so in 47 years, yes, the algorithms, the computers are going to be so powerful that if we don't build in some control mechanisms, we have a problem.
Okay, last quote on this side. Yours, and what's your opinion?
I have not much to say more than what you already said. Yeah, there are lines that have been crossed, but at the same time, who is to decide where the line should be drawn? If it's OpenAI, Elon Musk, if it's some random guy in the audience, who is to decide that?
Everything is relative.
I think the red line is crossed with what you just said. Deep fakes, for example, and that all comes together if you can't discern the original from the fake, whether it's a text or an image, and if it's not declared, I think that's a big issue. That's already existing today.
Okay. So if we take it longer, then maybe it's a red line cross for the audience. Thank you very much.